You're listening to the After the Show movie podcast from ascully.com. You can find this podcast on the iTunes Music Store, Google Play, YouTube, voice assistants, just say listen to After the Show movie podcast, and you can also find us on ascully.com where we post written reviews. With that out of the way, here are your hosts, A. Scully and Sid Talk. Hello, Sid Talk.
Yes.
Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Yes.
Welcome to the podcast. Are you just going to say yes?
I don't know about that.
Are you an AI?
I'm pulling a modern technology joke on you.
Oh, yeah.
Was it funny?
No.
It's modern. You're old-fashioned, so that's why you don't get it.
It was fair to middling.
I'll take it.
All right. What were we talking about?
That this movie that you got didn't have extras on the disc and that you had to go seek them out.
That's true.
From your nemesis.
iTunes.
The Apple people.
Yeah. I'm not sure what's going on with that.
I know what's going. You know what's going on. It's friggin' money. Don't be naive.
Yeah.
Somebody said, if we exclusively get Sam Raimi's associated with Sam Raimi, something or other, people will have to get the iTunes, and guess what? You got the iTunes.
I'm just going to, I'll mention this up front. This movie, Crawl, that we're going to look at this week, even though it says Blu-ray, DVD, and digital copy on the front like they all do, and you just assume that digital copy is valid everywhere, this one is different. It's iTunes only. So if you're not an Apple person, you probably don't even have iTunes. And it also makes it very difficult to watch unless you've got an Apple device attached to your TV. Like Roku doesn't have Apple on it. So it's not a good deal to stick it. Everything should work on everything nowadays, right? Is that...
Oh, that's bold.
Well,
that's a bold request.
You know what I'm saying? It should be. The platform shouldn't matter anymore. I
know what you're saying, but that's bold.
You buy a movie, it should just work on whatever you've got. Like, it doesn't...
Agree.
You know, don't make it more complicated, movie studios, is what I'm saying. Anyway, it is Saturday, October the 19th. After the show, 604. What is this month, Sid Talk?
October.
Is it Shocktober or is it Hortober?
Hortober.
Hortober.
And some people, that's a whole other thing. But we're talking H-O. H-O-Ho. The
ho. I got 99.
No.
Hoes.
As in horror, but ho-tober. And I know.
Yeah, it don't
it's
make any
genius.
sense.
It's borderline genius because it really challenges you. But yeah, it's October. It's almost Halloween. And so this year, you took it upon yourself to actually make October
horror
full of... I don't consider this movie horror, but I get what you're going for.
Yes. They even called it... Sam Raimi called it a horror movie.
I know what he calls it, but Sam Raimi's very sensitive. And so I question his judgment sometimes.
All right, so the movie we're looking at is Crawl. I will call it a creature feature.
Okay, that's fair.
It's a 2019 movie. Releases on already out on Blu-ray. You can go and get it now. It's rated R from our friends at Paramount who sent us a copy for review. Sid Talk, you give the synopsis of Crawl, your version, and then I'll give you the real version.
Father and daughter trapped in the crawl space of a house with some alligators.
You nearly said crocodiles.
During a hurricane.
All right.
I should say, yes, that's it.
All right. And
it's about a father-daughter relationship, and then there's alligators.
I'll give you what
and a hurricane.
The back of the box thinks it's about.
It won't be as interesting as my take.
As a Category 5 hurricane bears through Florida. Bears?
Mm-hmm.
Haley rushes to find her father, who is injured and trapped in a crawl space of a home. With the storm intensifying and water levels rising, the pair face an even bigger threat lurking below the surface. Producer Sam Raimi, in brackets Evil Dead, and director Alexandre Aja, in brackets The Hills Have Eyes remake.
Everybody's got brackets.
Yeah. Deliver an action-packed thrill ride with a nasty bite.
Alright.
So there you go. I think you've got what it's all about now.
Yeah.
Right? All right, so let me say, starting with, I like these kind of movies quite a lot. I like this a hell of a lot more than Annabelle Comes Home that we watched last week. Because, let me explain, this crawl, it's if you've seen the movie, I said this to you earlier, the movie The Shallows, where it's like a person, and then there's in that case, a shark, and it's edge of the seat tension the entire time, like, oh shit, is it coming? And this is the same thing. And it sets it up within 3 to 4 minutes, and then the action kicks in. It's really quick, this movie.
It is, and I really, really appreciated that. I liked the, whoa, holy crap, we're set to go. It's like 3, 2, 1, go! Yeah,
well... Like some movies take a long time. Perfect example. Annabelle Comes Home. Nothing really happens until about an hour into the movie in terms of the spookiness and all that. It sets it up for a long time. Whereas this, it's straight into it. It knows what it is. It's a alligator movie.
Yeah.
People are trapped. There's an alligator.
It is and it isn't.
Yeah, and it's not, this movie's not, it doesn't, further this genre or anything. It's just another one of these movies. But there's something about it. It's particularly well made. I believe that they were in a storm the entire time, even though it's I said to you, they're in a big water tank and people are blowing water and wind on them. But while you're watching it, I was convinced they were in the middle of a hurricane. It was realistic looking. There's a lot of CG in this movie that you don't notice. I only noticed it when I watched the extras, and I was like, oh, the whole background and the sky and everything, all of that is CG, but you don't pay attention while it's happening. It's really crazy how good it is. The alligators themselves are all CG, and there wasn't 1 second where I was like, oh, that looks a bit dodgy.
No, it's good.
I think with CG now, we've mastered animals, right? Like when we watched The Jungle Book. All those animated animals look fantastic. I think we've mastered animals, but we haven't mastered people yet, right?
No, not quite. And some animals, still questionable, but these all, I was convinced the whole time.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't actual beasts coming after them, but because they did such a good job, it all blended really nice, and my brain was convinced. My eyes were convinced, so my brain was convinced.
Yeah, it's not like they used... some real alligators to get shots. They actually just use CG the entire time. So anything you see, and there's no alligator wrangler on the set with some drugged up alligators.
Correct.
None of that. So for that, I bought it. There was a lot of unexpected moments, I think, in this movie too. As in, oh, I didn't expect that to happen. There's some bloodthirsty stuff in this movie. Did you think?
Oh, yeah.
There's some really good kills, actually. Should we say some spoilers?
Spoilers. We say some spoilers, because I think one is pretty much defines the whole idea of spoiler.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about alligators. I keep wanting to say crocodile. Alligators and a hurricane in a Sam Raimi represented movie. I know it's not him. I keep saying him, but he's involved.
Yeah, he was on the set even if you watch that.
And it was his idea, if I'm not mistaken, from the extras he was talking about.
Yeah, he'd had the idea of it and pitched it to this guy.
Exactly. So it's him. It's in his brain.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
The actual... I nearly said crocodiles myself. The actual... is that underselling an alligator, calling it a crocodile? Is a crocodile lesser?
Oh.
You know what I mean?
You mean, is there a world of,
don't call me a crocodile.
Probably. If they're anything like people, yeah.
And go back to smoking its cigar with its and drinking its wine.
Is that like Microsoft versus Apple or PlayStation versus Xbox, crocodile versus alligator? Or it's like rivalries between colleges?
True. I feel like the alligator, when I think of crocodile and alligator, even though we know the difference because we just had we had our artificial intelligence tell us. But when I think of them both, I think alligator is the most vicious of them. Now, I was just looking up alligator attacks in Florida, and there are not tons. What it said, what I was just reading was, American alligators are the most vicious ones in the world. I'm not sure why. But it said there are, in the last 20 years, there's not a lot of alligator attacks, but there have been several that have been publicized on the news where the alligator takes somebody's baby and just swallows it.
In America?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
Just comes up on the shore, takes the...
I don't know about that.
That's what it said. It said it cited some references of ABC News. So,
yeah, but still.
But it said that they're less... When there's a hurricane, they get knocked out of their natural habitat, because all of a sudden they're in the middle of your street. And they're confused. And it said that that's when that actually is when they're likely to attack people more, because they're hungry and they don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. Our house is in the water, and
true.
They're all of a sudden they're like, whoa, there's a lot more water. What's going on? So this is not based on a true story.
No.
But the hurricane, those hurricanes happen quite often, right, down there?
Florida, not often, but yeah, that's notorious.
So if you're from Florida and you watch this movie, I'm sure you're already terrified of hurricanes because they're a reality to you. And then there's the added layer of a creature feature stuck on top of it. So, did you like the special effects? Would you?
Yeah. I just will say right up front, I enjoyed the whole thing. And I'm, it was relatively short, which I normally don't like. It's very, very, very straightforward. You're going to meet up with a father and daughter who have a difficult relationship. She has a skill that's going to come in handy later on. He's a hard nut, stubborn guy. And she's going to have to save him, and they will then fix their relationship. It's really straightforward. There's nothing else about it. And then it's person versus nature.
It's very economical, the plot.
Yeah, that's a nice way of saying it. Yes.
Yeah, it's here's how we get this scenario to be a thing. Here's the daughter. She's coming to find the dad. Here's the scenario. And now it's a fight for survival, and they might survive, they might not. It's that.
Correct.
Which is a lot of movies, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of these type of movies. I was thinking about this when we were watching it. We reviewed another alligator movie. Do you remember? It was a long time ago. But we actually reviewed it on After the Show.
I'm not sure.
It's called Lake Placid.
Oh, yes.
Wasn't very good.
I remember that, yes.
It was nowhere near the quality of this movie. This movie is even though I was looking at the budget of this movie, it's $14 million, which is on the low side for a studio horror movie. I feel like every penny they spent is all up there, because it looks bigger than it is. And I think the director said that he wanted it to be a small, confined movie, but when you watch it, you feel like it's an epic thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't break out. It's mostly contained inside this crawl space, which you might think, oh, that's boring, there's not much to look at. But because they go for it straight away, and the alligators are a thing immediately, not just one, more than one.
Very immediately, which I loved.
Yeah, and they're convincing, and you're like, oh, what would I do in that situation? And, don't get me wrong, it gets silly at points, right?
Absolutely.
She gets death rolled by an alligator with her arm in its mouth, but actually doesn't lose her arm. There's things like that where you're like, ooh.
that I'm not saying that's not plausible.
Well,
we don't know.
It bit down pretty hard.
We haven't done any research on this subject.
Yeah, there's lots of there's other people turn up to help occasionally, or maybe not. But you've seen this type of movie before. Anybody else who turns up's probably not going to last long, right?
Exactly.
And the 3 people across the road in the gas station, it was clear they were only going to be there for what?
5 minutes.
Yeah, or less, right?
Yeah.
So what that adds to the movie, though, is because you want to see people get eaten by the alligators, right? That's why you're here to watch this kind of movie. Those people show up and there's some fodder for the alligators. But those deaths that happened, I thought were really inventive, especially the one with the police guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was gruesome, really. They don't shy away from it. It's pretty gruesome. there's something about when somebody gets decapitated or that arm comes off or whatever underwater, like in Jaws, I don't know if this is just me, but it's lessened by the water because the blood is just like a swirly cloud rather than...
For me, it's worse because all I'm thinking is infection.
Right. There is
infection, instant infection. You're in a swampy, flooded town and you have a severed arm, a chopped in leg, a broken leg with your bone poking out, and now you're in the nasty, disgusting water and you're going to be infected. Even if this gator doesn't get you, you're going to die from an infection.
You did mention that during the movie, how kind of gross it is.
Yeah, it's very gross.
Because this house is slowly... The water's slowly rising, so they're in the crawl space, but after a while the crawl space is completely filled with water. Then they would be on the first, the ground floor of the house, and then eventually up in the attic and on top of the house. So that actually acts, I thought, as a good, splitting the movie into parts.
Yeah.
Like the first, second, and third act. Like it starts, they're in the crawly bit. Then they're in a bit more open place where you're like, oh, maybe they're a bit safer on this level, and then eventually on the roof.
And they're not.
And you're not actually safe on any level if the water's rising and there's alligators. So, but I don't know, like when they get out of the crawl space, I was kind of like, this is better, right?
That's the idea. Yeah, I was tense. I mean, I never liked crawl spaces, except when I was a kid. For some reason, we had a crawl space in one house that we lived in, and it was like you went in the basement, and then you went over to the bathroom, which was unfinished. There was like cement walls, and there was like a shower in the corner. It almost looked like the room in Saw. There was no tub. There was like a shower, a toilet, a sink, and like the furnace, and all cement, and there was no blood or anything, but still kind of grubby looking. It was just a basement in a, ranch-style house in suburbia. But over in one corner, right where the shower was like a wooden, really flimsy door up near the ceiling, like about 2.5 by 2.5 feet, way up there. So I had to get something to stand on to reach it. And when you open it, it was real flimsy, had like a cheap cabinet door handle. And there was the crawl space that went under the rest of the house. Like the basement was only under one part of it. And I was like, I would always be like, oh, what's up in here? Then as I got older, it just creeped me out so bad. So I never liked going in there. But that's as soon as she went down there, I was like,
When she said, as she was going down there, what did she say?
Cable men go down here all the time.
Yeah,
it'll
that's
be fine.
The thing where I was like, yeah it's going to be fine. And then you as a viewer is like, nah, it's not going to be fine.
It's not fine. You won't be fine.
It's also a dog in this movie. Do you like the dog edition of the dog? They've got a pet dog.
It could be no dog. I'm not a dog person, so all this obsession with throwing fucking pets at your YouTube videos and in your movies, it reminds me of the movie Scrooged, when the sort of like super greedy head of the network, Scrooged is a Bill Murray movie from many years ago, based on what you can imagine. The Scrooge story. And his boss, who's like this weirdo executive guy who owns the whole network, says, more pets are watching TV. Now, how about we put in, a little mouse in a show or a dangling string to get the cats interested? And that's what I feel like they're doing these days. Is like, put a little dog in there, put a little pet in there, and all the people go, oh, he's so cute. Oh my God. It makes me want to, not harm the dog, but remove the dog gently into another location. I just can't stand it. It drives me insane. But for this dog, he was well behaved and he wasn't a huge part of the whole plot.
I guess it adds another layer of, people who love animals and have pet dogs. It adds that other layer of, what if my dog got snatched up by an alligator?
Right, and I'm not those people, so I don't give a shit.
No.
I'm going to be harsh. I'm going to say, I don't care. Don't give me pets to care about. I don't care.
How did you feel? Was you, I felt this movie, it's not scary, but it is tense.
Definitely.
Whereas Annabelle Comes Home wasn't scary or tense, I didn't think.
Agree.
Even the jump scares in that Annabelle Comes Home, which it did have some, they were kind of expected. But in this one, there are some... I don't know if I call them jump scares, but there are times when the alligator just appears out of nowhere, right? And you're like, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, and they did it well. To me, they did it well.
I mean,
especially when you're focused on this guy over here and way over in the background, you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
There's something happening over there. I like that.
I mean, it doesn't make you jump, but it definitely keeps you on the edge. Yeah, I was always like...
Yeah.
And they do go quite far. Like, I mean, arms in the alligator. The alligator gets arms, it gets legs. It snaps at appendages and stuff. So,
yeah.
It doesn't shy away from that. It's not like, oh, it nearly snapped at somebody. No, people get snapped.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, which I've seen other movies where they just kind of imply somebody goes under the water and that's it. They're gone. But this one, you kind of see them get attacked big time. So, I think we both liked it a lot. Is it your favourite out of Hortober?
Of all the ones so far?
We've only seen 3.
Oh, but I've been watching others, remember?
Yeah.
So you're just talking about, you have to remind me what the other ones are. Hold on. I have a spreadsheet. Midsommar, Annabelle Comes Home, No, and Crawl. I'm going to say, for experience, Midsommar.
Yeah, totally.
But for quality and me thoroughly enjoying it, like just for brainless, but looking cool and interesting and caring about the people, even ever so slightly, which is hard for me. I have no compassion for these people in these movies. But to find some for these people, and I liked her, then I would say, yeah. For experience, though, Midsommar is just so different as a film.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying. It's not a great overall story.
I really liked it, but
yeah.
Midsommar is so far away from this movie.
Yeah, but you're the one who wanted to compare them.
Yeah.
So we're comparing them.
This one, as an action creature feature with some gore and some cool special effects that were unexpected. There was parts where I was like, wow, like, look at that sky. There was, when she was driving up at the beginning and that guy was kind of saying, don't go over there. And the sky was behind them. I was like, whoa, is that a CGI sky or did they get a real...
It felt like a movie that the people making it took the care and the time to really, like, all the details. The house was, like, super detailed when you really look at different houses, actually, a condo and then a house. And then the way they kind of get destroyed in the flood, like, someone did research to, at least to me, what it's like inside a house that's flooded and the rushing water and the dam, all of it together just felt really, really like someone took a lot of time and effort and they were really proud of it. And yes, you can watch a movie and be like, this is a product. Yeah. This has been slapped together by people who don't stay up all night on the computer working on the CG. Don't do this. It's just like, from 8 to 5 today.
Can you name and shame a movie that is in that category?
I don't know. It's just like it's a group of movies, I feel like, okay, I'm going to name one. Godzilla.
Yeah, King of the Monsters.
Not just because it wasn't great, but it felt really like product, which I despise. I think it's really vomity. These days, everybody's like, here's the product. And it was just flimsy and not full of, I don't know. It was trying too hard to be something it wasn't.
I would put the 3rd and the 4th Hunger Games movie in that category.
Oh, okay. So we have a franchise. It's a money cow. We got to finish the books.
Yeah, and then it just starts to become a thing. We got to make another one.
But does that translate to what I'm talking about, like the fine details, or are you just talking about because it became monotonous and not very interesting?
And kind of worse as it went on.
Right, but is that
the way it was made was worse?
Oh, you think?
Yeah, it just didn't. It doesn't feel quite as up to the standard of the first and the second one. It tails off like
less substance, more style.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a subjective thing, but
yeah, true. So I was going to go on to the cast here and give you a long list of cast members. This
movie does not have very many people.
No, there's people who get killed by the alligator, and then there are our 2 family members. Kaya, you can attempt that one because I can't say her name without killing it.
Scodeliari?
Oh.
Scodeliari.
Scodelario. No?
Scodelario. I apologize, Kaya. Or Kaya? Do you say Kaya?
It's probably Kaya. Kaya Scodelario.
Well, the last part is Delario.
Kaya Scodelario. I think I'm right.
I don't know. We'll have to call her up.
She's a British lady. She plays Hayley. It's again one of those, she doesn't play a British person. She's American in this movie. And you would never know she was a British person.
No, she was a good job.
Even though she's got a very posh British accent when she actually talks in the extras. I thought she was really good.
Mm-hmm. I
liked her. There was, and it just nitpick, but on a couple of occasions, I could tell she was acting to nothing.
Yeah, me too.
Like she was
a little bit.
She was looking at a tennis ball on a stick and going like that.
Yep.
It kind of looked like that a little bit, but then I had to think, well, it probably is a tennis ball on a stick, and
that was confirmed.
Yeah.
Not tennis ball, but pretty close.
Yeah, a piece of polystyrene on the end of a stick. But as far as like the quality of her acting and the way she interacted with her dad, and even at the beginning where she's talking on the phone.
Yeah, it was all like, I was in, once the first few minutes are going, I understand her character. It's not super complex. She's been driven by her dad as a youth, in her youth, to be like the best swimmer. And it doesn't have to be like telegraphed to us with lots and lots of exposition, but we get very quickly that she's not the top swimmer. And that is a problem. And then it unfolds as that's a problem in their relationship and a problem in her own self. But it's not just like told to you. Someone doesn't sit down and go, well, 10 years ago you were the best swimmer. Now you're not the best swimmer. And this has happened. And this is why you're not the best swimmer.
No.
It doesn't really work that way. So I like that. And I appreciate it.
There are a couple of flashbacks to her as a kid swimming. And her dad, kind of egging her, making sure she does well. So it's like that. We've seen that story before.
Sure, of course.
I'm sure.
I mean, it's a big story.
And it's convenient that it's about swimming and she's about to be stuck underwater. But, horror films, creature films, they're kind of a bunch of conveniences stuck together, aren't they? So,
yes.
So that the hero or heroine can win the day using whatever their skill is at the end. So, but do they win the day in this movie? We didn't give the ending away, did we? Did they all get eaten by alligators? Maybe. Maybe.
It's not the kind of movie where you're really going to care. I care about the characters, but as far as like the end result, I'm good with whatever.
Barry Pepper plays a dad, Dave.
What else was he in?
Barry Pepper's been in like hundreds of films, hasn't he?
Was he in the Quentin Tarantino anything? You're a Quentin Tarantino man?
No, I don't think he was in a Quentin Tarantino, but maybe. Barry Pepper. I'll look him up for you.
Okay.
Here I am looking him up.
Quickly looking up. Barry Perry.
I'll give you some things that you know with Barry Pepper.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep. I'm ready. Go for it. Nothing?
25th Hour.
Okay. Probably not for much of it.
Battlefield Earth.
Okay. Oh. Okay.
Here we go. We're coming up to ones now, though.
Okay.
The Green Mile.
Yep.
Enemy of the State.
Okay.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan is what I'm imagining him with an army helmet.
The Outer Limits TV series, 1996.
Oh, my God.
You probably just watched that.
What episode? Yeah, probably.
The Heist, the episode.
Oh, probably.
Sliders on TV. Remember that?
Yes.
I was actually
I like that one.
Sliders, yeah. He was in other stuff. Flags of Our Fathers, which is another war movie. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. He was the voice. But no, not...
Okay.
But I think you remember him from Private Ryan.
Yeah, probably. I think that's where I'm seeing his very, very specific face.
Yeah. Again, he was good. Like, he brought I don't know. Like, we don't know who she is. Like, we've never seen that actress before. You haven't, I haven't, right?
Not that I'm aware of.
Kaya, we've never seen her before. But, like, Barry Pepper, we know his face. We know... Again, it's like he's in there and he's injured, but he's also got a special set of skills. He's a
he's a carpenter and handyman
guy. So he has his tool belt and, and again, another bunch of conveniences to further the plot. But it works in this.
Yeah, it's nothing that's extraordinary. It's not like he's a brain surgeon and we happen to be, he's a construction guy in Florida. She's a swimmer in Florida. There are gators. There are hurricanes. It all fits.
One of the things I really admire from this film and would like to know, how they did it was anybody who had a flashlight in this, it was so waterproof, the flashlight. It was unbelievable.
Well, that's an emergency one. That is waterproof.
We've got one of those. That one that she winds up.
Yeah.
We've actually got one that looks just like it.
It has to be waterproof because it's for an emergency.
So right, and the one he wears he has like a head-mounted one that he puts on a stick. That was totally waterproof as well.
Don't be questioning this particular detail. It seems perfectly reasonable.
I just want to know where they got them awesome touches.
If you're going to question stuff, question the big fucking hole in their basement that leads to some weird-ass It-themed drain pipe. That was right out of It. You know what I'm saying?
That was the nest.
That was hooked right to their basement with a hole big enough to crawl in. I was like, oh, what?
Actually, that one is the most... because this movie also plays on, being stuck and claustrophobia, being stuck in something. When she's in the alligator nest, which was lit really, kind of neon yellow looking.
Yeah.
And there's a pipe that's the size of a crocodile. Alligator.
Perfect.
I don't know why I keep saying crocodile. There's a pipe that the alligator comes down.
All the alligators are like, fuck these people.
Yeah. It's exactly the same size as an alligator. And when it comes down, there's just that pipe to get in and out. That was terrifying to me because I was like, when she had to crawl down it, I was like, oh.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you're right. The alligator nest, it did look like some weird...
It was very weird, and maybe that exists, and I am just clueless. So if someone lives in a place where your basement, it's in an old house, has got a big hole in it, they called it the overflow drain, and then you could crawl through a big giant pipe into some weird underground thing, like a labyrinth where there are other pipes coming off it, but it's humongous. It's and it's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Let me know, because I don't think that exists.
My favorite joke in the whole movie was Dad says, you're going to have to swim along the wall, find the wet wall. She goes, Dad, they're all wet.
It wasn't that funny, but it was cute.
Yeah, it was really good. It was at the right moment, just as shit was hitting the fan, and we just needed a bit of humor. So there are other people in the movie, but they're gonna get eaten. So
don't be a person in this movie.
They'll be on the screen for a minute, and then they'll be eaten. That's just how this movie is.
Yep.
So this is directed by Alexandra Aja. Aja?
I don't know how to say his name.
He directed the movie High Tension, which was awesome. I don't even think you've seen it. It's a horror movie.
I don't think so.
It's pretty intense. It's French, I believe. Is he French?
I do not know.
The movie itself subtitled, but it's a cool, gory horror movie. He also directed, which you have seen, the Hills of Eyes remake, which I think it's underappreciated.
I liked it.
The Hills of Eyes is a legendary horror movie that we all love, and
I don't know if I love it, but it's definitely legendary.
It's cool, isn't it? It's got that. I watched Texas Chainsaw Man, the times when I saw it, it's got that feeling, that weird, we're lost in the desert, and then there's this weird shit, and you can't get away from it.
True.
Same as Texas Chainsaw Man.
It definitely has that exact thing, yes.
But the remake, he kind of put a twist on it. It was different than the original movie, and it was very, intense and violent.
Very.
Actually, almost over-the-top violent, where you were like, oh my god, they're going that far with it? So I like that one. And he also did the movie Louis Drax. Do you remember that? We reviewed it?
Yes.
Yeah, which is far away from horror. But it was an interesting concept, right?
Yeah.
So... this guy's, I think he's pretty good. And this movie itself, even though it's produced by Sam Raimi, and if Sam Raimi would have made this movie, it would have been full of zooming in and out and weird upside-down camera angles and stuff. This guy doesn't really do that. He films it pretty straight up. Did you notice?
Yep.
He doesn't do all the fancy techniques of the camera.
For sure.
There's a lot of underwater photography, obviously. It all looks good. There's never a time where I'm like, I can't, it's so dark, I can't tell what's going on.
Yeah, I thought some of the water shots were really good.
Because this is in a crawl space, in the dark, mostly, it could come to that where you're like, oh, can't tell, it's all muddy. But no, they did a good job of making sure you saw everything.
I think so.
So yeah, let me go on to the Blu-ray here. There are some bonus bites, as they call them. There's some deleted scenes, and there's 3 featurettes, which I did have to watch on iTunes, which was a bit weird.
I was going to say, are you not protesting this whole extras?
I mean, they're extras, but they're not on the disc, which is odd. It's really odd. But what I do, there is that. There are some extras if you want to. There's no commentary. This is the coolest extra. You get 3 months of Shudder for free. And Sid Talk will explain what Shudder is.
It's an online movie service like Netflix, except all horror. And it has some variations on things you might not have ever heard of or seen. They kind of feature those things. And
we used the 3 months free trial. Well, we haven't used it yet. I mean, we've used it and we've watched. That's how we watched Zombie last week. But it's full of. In fact, we're going to watch The Devil's Rejects this week to get ready for next week's movie, which is the sequel to that. And it happens to be on Shudder. I just thought that was usually when they give you a free code to watch a free service like Netflix or whatever, it's usually 7-day trial, isn't it? And then they're going to charge you. So 3 months seems pretty generous. So I just want to let you know, if you buy this Blu-ray, there is 3 months of Shudder in the box.
And shudder as in SHUDD.
Yeah, like a shudder goes down your spine because you're terrified. So yeah, that is a good extra. That's better than the extras that are here. But the extras are kind of cool. Like I say, you just have to go to iTunes to see them. But there is interviews with Sam Raimi and the director and the actors, and you get to see how they made this house and gas station and other houses.
It's very cool.
On a soundstage and just flooded the whole thing. Like it was really cool. So, conclusion. I recommend it.
I enjoyed it. Yep.
It's a good.
It has all the things that all the people that we cringe at say. It's short. It's simple. It's uncomplicated. There is nothing you will not understand. And it will even have some things you can uncomfortably laugh at because of the ridiculousness or because it makes your skin crawl. Get it?
Yeah.
Crawl. It'll make your skin crawl. There are times when I was like, oh.
Yeah, there's some gross
painful
stuff.
Things that you're like, when you kind of reach at your skin and you're like, oh my God, if I had to do that to my own, if I had to tourniquet my almost severed leg, like, fuck, that looks bad. So it does that, and I like that. It's stimulating.
Yeah, I thought it was, when it's the original Evil Dead is also a very short brief. It's like 79 minutes, but it's very good with its time. Like, you at the end, you're like, whoa, that was crazy. It was like an intense ride.
Yeah.
And that was just the right length. This is the same. It's like not drawn out. It's some movies I like to be drawn out, but something like this, because it's such a simple idea, this is enough, just enough. I think it ended at exactly the right time. So yeah, it's a short movie. It's full of action. It's very intense. When they say you sit on the edge of your seat, I didn't. I reclined. But I
bet your butt cheeks were clenched at least once.
Yep, I was puckering up. So, that is a Crawl. You can get it now. Next week, we're looking at the Rob Zombie's movie, 3 from Hell, which is the...
Now, I'm just putting this out there. I know there are people who find this controversial, but I don't think that Rob Zombie, just because these movies are kind of fucked up, is a great filmmaker. He's creative, he's interesting, he's weird, and he commits, right? But when I saw that remake of whichever one it was...
Halloween.
Yeah, it was crap. And I mean crap as in, I don't ever even say that about movies, right? Hardly, ever. Very rarely. It was like I was watching... I don't even know. Like, I don't know. It was terrible.
I've never seen it. Is it in his style, like kind of grindhousey?
Kinda. But also horrible story, horrible bad performances, and I can accept bad performances in horror movies.
Was it his wife?
Yeah, she was in it, but I don't dislike her specifically. She is what she is. Like, she's always the same. A little bit like...
She's a scream queen.
She's like, la 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 la, I'm dangerous and beautiful. That's kind of the vibe you get from her always. Or, I'm kick-ass and dangerous and beautiful and la-di-da, and there's a knife in your head. Like, that's kind of her whole... Kind of like the new Harley Quinn, you know?
Yeah, very much like that.
That actually. Vibe. So I don't dislike her, but her in that, combined with the weird story that they came up with, I was just like, whatever.
Well, it's been a mixed bag with Rob Zombie. I liked House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, I like that all of his things make you, like, go, crap, I'm an adult, should I be watching this?
I still think The Devil's Rejects...
I feel like I'm too young to watch this.
You know, original Devil's Rejects, I still think that's his best one. His best movie. And then 31 wasn't that good.
It wasn't the original, though. It was House of a Thousand Corpses was first.
Yeah, I'm saying, but like when he introduced the three, like House of a Thousand Corpses kind of set it all up. Yeah. And then they went out on their spree on the second one.
So to explain to people, the people from the Devil's Rejects is the family from House of a Thousand Corpses.
True. And then this is, you know, if you've seen Devil's Rejects... We're going to re-see it because I don't remember all of it. What's the most memorable thing about The Devil's Rejects? You remember?
I don't... It's not really... I mean, the part of the movie I remember isn't because it's memorable in the movie.
No.
It's memorable because when we went to see it... Yes, kids, we used to go out to the theater to see movies. We got to this particular part, and the woman behind us said, that's enough. And she left.
Yeah, it was one of those walkouts.
It was, you know, a guy with a gun and a woman's private parts... Yep. Alluding to, let's just be clear.
Yeah, it wasn't even...
We're not talking about, like, softcore porn or anything, but this woman, and there were only, like, and there was a couple with a baby in there. We were just like, what the... And then I think that was it. That we were the only ones left after that lady and her man walked out.
Yeah, true. So this time when we rewatch it, we will play back in our minds those events.
Yes.
So yeah, he is mixed bag, Rob Zombie. But... I do think he's good at atmosphere sometimes. Like, Devil's Rejects and House of a Thousand Corpses has a really effed up atmosphere to it.
True.
And 31, which was that last one we watched, even though it wasn't great, it definitely had a weird effed upness to it.
True. But it was not. It was a little bit like, is that it? It's like trying too hard to play to the people who would sit there and be like, yeah! Fuck yeah!
Weirdly, it wasn't...
I don't know why I interpret them people like that, but that's...
weirdly to me, 31, it wasn't graphic enough. After I'd watched it, I was like, I was expecting that to be really fucked up and gory. And it wasn't as much as it let on. I think maybe they hyped it up that way, and I was like, it was kind of mellow, really, when it came down to it.
It was not mellow.
Not mellow.
Do not mislead people.
I mean, maybe my taste is like, you know what I mean? I've seen stuff.
It's far from mellow.
I've seen Irreversible. Come on.
Exactly. But yeah, what's more effed up than Irreversible? Because it's not actually. The rape scene in Irreversible is you live with it for the rest of your life. But as far, and the gore part with the fire extinguisher or whatever he uses. But other than that, if you compare that to other movies, the reason it's so intense is because you're watching it backwards, first of all, and the weird noises, and you are fully convinced once you've seen all the events of the uncontrollable primal rage that was going on, and that made it seem even more like, oh god,
it's very unforgettable. You've seen it, you're not going to forget what you saw, right? The whole thing.
But do other movies have better actual representations of horror? They're just not as horrible. Like, what's happened isn't as horrible.
Right.
You know?
He's actually re-releasing Irreversible, like its 20th anniversary, and it's a new director's cut that is put in chronological order instead of the reverse thing. He said, I was watching an interview with him, that it's actually, to him now, more effective when it's not backwards. I don't know what he means by that, but...
Well, I mean, he wrote it, and he did it, and he can do what he wants.
Maybe he's just seen it a lot in its original form, and then when he's remixed it back...
Or maybe he decided, I was a real pretentious little weasel back then, making my movie backwards like Memento. I don't want my movie to be in conversations where they're like, oh, you know that movie Memento? And that other movie that was backwards, Irreversible? And he's like, oh, I'm too good for that.
What's cool about Irreversible is it starts
It's not. There's nothing cool about it.
No, what I thought was really cool about it was it starts with this harrowing violence like you've never seen. It's so bad, like
Yeah.
and then it gets into the story, and then you start to figure out what's going on, and then there's the most horrendous rape scene you've ever. It's just the way it's filmed makes it
Awful.
It's just like you shouldn't be there. It's almost like you feel like walking away from it. Like,
yes.
And then there's that whole rape scene, and then the movie from the rape scene until the end is really mellow. You've got past. It's like almost like you got past.
You're like, oh my, yeah, you're like, that's over
because it's played in backwards order. It's fine at the end,
but it's not fine because now you know everything that happened.
Yeah, true, but
it's horrible.
But you start to feel like relief, like.
But that's how you would feel if you watched it the other way around. You start with everybody's happy. You don't know what any bad things are coming, and then the bad shit happens.
Yeah, and then it ends. As you know, if you watch this new version, the end scene is the most horrendous thing. Like, as in gruesome. It's not just a gore. It just seems real, doesn't it? The way it all occurs. So that's our look at Irreversible. I don't know how we got to that. We really went off topic.
It's a movie podcast.
All right, so movie recommendations. I am going with High Tension, which I don't think you've seen, and you definitely should see. Maybe it's on Netflix and you can watch it this Halloween. And The Shallows with Blake Lively, which reminded me of this movie. You could watch Crawl and The Shallows back to back, double bill. They've got the same vibe. It's just one's a shark and one's a alligator/crocodile. They've got the same vibe as well. There's Blake Lively, heroine against a shark. This girl against a alligator.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd categorize them as the same, but yeah, the same that device, yes.
Same vibe, It's set up quickly, it starts to happen, it never stops until the end. Like it's, there's no stop to talk or any. Well, in The Shallows, there's no stop to talk because there's nobody for her to talk to. She
Correct.
talks to herself sometimes. So, they're my recommendations. Yours are?
Mine will be the movies I watched this week, and I'm not recommending them because they're good. I'm just saying I watched them. And they are... Okay, first, The Perfection, which I don't remember what year it came from. It's not very old. And it's just one of those sort of like single white female, some crazy shit going down. Somebody's jealous. Somebody wants to take over someone's identity. But there's a little extra something on top of that. The ultimate plot and the reasons for it, the motivation of the characters, my reaction was a little bit like, oh, it's that. I mean, it's awful and everything, but okay. So The Perfection is one, and the other one was Emily, Emelie.
Is that the one with Audrey Tautou? When she's like a French girl.
No.
And it's real sweet.
That's Amelie. That starts with an A. This is
okay.
I know, that's why I'm trying not to confuse people. It's not Amelie. It's Emily, but not spelled like Emily. And it is, babysitters hired to come take care of the kids of this couple who are having some possible marital issues. And of course, the babysitter turns out to not be what you think. And it's quite well made, and there are moments in it. I told you, I'll just give you one hint. The babysitter, because she's really messed up in her mind, sitting on the toilet. About a 10-year-old boy is in the house that she's babysitting for, and the door's barely open. He's hollering for her, and then he creaks the door open, and she's just sitting on the toilet, like she's going to the toilet. Now, first of all, you wouldn't want your babysitter having your 10-year-old son seeing her on the toilet. Maybe in some families that's fine, but not when it's a stranger/babysitter that he doesn't know. Then she says, I need a tampon. And then she's like, go on, they're over there. Get me one. Open it. And then I was like, oh my God, please don't. Please not let this be an instructional weird thing. But even that was weird. So that made me all edgy and shit. So I kind of liked that.
Nice. Sounds great.
I mean, it's not great, but it's a interesting one.
All right. Ace Scully stuff. I've been playing. I played some of Fortnite this week.
You sound so excited. In the past, you've been like, Fortnite.
Never. Yeah, and also a friend of mine was also playing Fortnite who's never played it before. So it worked, their marketing thing.
Yep.
So Fortnite's like one of the most popular games in the world, actually. It's a free-to-play game from Epic the Unreal people. And it's been going for years, but like over the last week, they did a surprise. All the people who were playing it didn't know this was coming. But one day, they were all playing. Stuff started to happen in the map, and all of a sudden, the map exploded or imploded, and all that was left was a black hole. And then everything went dark, and it just said exit game. And that was, people flocked to the social media like, what the hell's happened to Fortnite? Like, we can't play. And for a whole 24 hours, it was offline. And then they came back online with Fortnite. But it's not Fortnite 2. It's like they're calling it Fortnite Season 2, Chapter 1. So it's like, forget about the Fortnite you've been playing for the last couple of years. We've reset it all back to 0. There's a brand new map. The graphics have been improved. The whole gameplay has been improved. They've added loads of new stuff to do, fishing, and there's all kinds of different things you can do within the game. They've added like a new leveling up system. And I've played the old game, and I said to you, I don't really like Fortnite, and I just thought, I don't like Fortnite. But this new version of the game is completely different. So if you've played it before, and you decided then, oh, I'm not really into this, and uninstalled it, you might want to give it another look, because it's the biggest change I've ever seen to a game. It's not just like a patch, or like we've improved a thing. It's like we went back to the drawing board and made it better, which you don't really see happen, do you, in games? And I knew that it wasn't the end of Fortnite, because they make billions of dollars off it, right? So
they had to find a trick and a way to get people like you, who are like, to be like, oh, I'm going to tell other people. It's better now.
It is, though.
So like you're a bunch of sheep.
Also, it's free to play. The way they monetize the game is it's completely free to play, but if you want cosmetics for your character, you buy those in the store. You don't need them because they don't give you any advantage. It's just, I know, when you play a game, you want your avatar to look a particular way. You don't just want the default avatar. But if you do want the default avatar, you never have to pay. But if you play it enough, you'll probably end up spending a few cents, to get an outfit for your character. There's also something that they call the Battle Pass, which is $10. And what that does is every level you get, because you own the Battle Pass, you get extra items for your character. So for the $10, you're unlocking all this stuff. Now, if you don't pay, they make it quite clear that you could be unlocking all this stuff, but you're not because you're not paying. So you unlock all this stuff. Now, I thought, well, that's just a way to get $10 off you every 3 months. But what I didn't know, and I learned this, and I bet a lot of people don't know this either, is if you buy the Battle Pass and you work your way through it, meaning you play like every day and you unlock a couple of levels each day, like most people would, you unlock the money, they're called V-Bucks, that you buy Battle Passes with. You unlock some of that money every 3 or 4 levels. And by the end of the Battle Pass, which lasts, it's 100 levels. If you get to the 100th level, you will have unlocked 1,200 V-Bucks into your account, which, when the next Battle Pass comes out, it costs 1,000 V-Bucks. So you buy it once, and if you are an actual player of the game, you play it a lot, you won't ever have to buy that again. So I was unaware of that. So it's a good point. It's not like they just want you to play, basically.
No, they want your money. Do not be naive. They have a way.
Well, I know they want your money.
All right, that's all they want. They don't care if you're happy in your life. They just think, how many more people can we get to play this game? And so now they have a new way and new people who go, oh, I'll try.
I appreciate apparently Call of Duty this year is going to have this Battle Pass method as well, because they've realized there are the kind of people who don't want to pay anything extra, and there are a kind who will. And the Battle Pass system, where it's only cosmetics, it's not like you can do better by paying, works for people, because some people will, some people won't, but both sides.
So that's a way to get everyone's money. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
It's not like, okay, pat them on the back, they're great human beings.
Well, no.
No.
But Call of Duty is also apparently...
they might be human beings, but this mechanism to get your money and get your interest and get you playing their game, it's not like, oh, these guys are... This is great.
Anyway, the long and the short of it is, I think it's really fun. It's good. It's the kind of game that you can just drop in, have a couple of games, drop out, you know?
It doesn't sound to me like that's how most people play it.
No, I think some people are obsessed with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can see why they would be, but for me, those kind of games, like shooter games like that, even Call of Duty, after an hour and a half, I'm ready to do another thing. Do you know what I'm saying? But I always look forward to doing it each day. It's like that kind of, I can have a game of that. Another game I've been playing this week is John Wick Hex. And this, if they were going to make a video game of John Wick, Sid Talk, what do you think it would be, the game?
I have no idea.
What kind of game?
I know what game it should be.
What?
Like something that, like the way it looks should be as good as some of those, even like Fortnite or some of the others you play that look good.
Yeah.
Everything looks semi-realistic. Everything's smooth. And then the story should just be a John Wick story.
Right, and what kind of gameplay would you be doing as John Wick?
That's what I just said. The ones that you play where you run around and shoot people and solve puzzles.
All right, so
there's a story.
Yep. That'd be really cool, wouldn't it? I love that. Like shooting, like, you know, Max Payne. Do you remember that game?
Of course.
Like that. That'd be a good John Wick game.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's not that. It's a turn-based.
Oh my. Oh my, I'm already out. I'm out.
This is the official John Wick game by Lionsgate also. It's not like some indie game.
Okay.
It's turn-based. You like move around a board. The level's like, you know, it's isometric. You're looking at it from above, and there's John Wick down there. And there are little like movement spots that he can go on. And you've got turns. You can only move a couple of spots each turn, and you can shoot your gun once, and you can.
I'm already bored. I'm out.
It's that turn-based combat, and it's like a chess. It's almost like chess or a puzzle. And it is the furthest thing I could think of from what a John Wick game should be. Even though it's kind of interesting, it's just like, you know, they even got the actual voices of everybody from the cast. But the game itself is like, this isn't a John Wick game. John Wick, like, shoots everybody and stabs them, and we've just seen the movie. Like, it's crazy, isn't it? It's action from the start to finish. It's not like waiting for a turn, because he can only walk one spot forward. It's just weird. Anyway, it's John Wick Hex. If you're into like strategy games, where you move a little,
I am not.
Where you move a little John Wick one step at a time. And then, you know what's the funniest thing about the John Wick strategy game is, you know, like I said, you can move one square at a time, and you can move a square and like shoot a baddie, and then move a square, and then a baddie shoots back. And it's not real time, it's turns like a board game. After you've finished the level, it replays the level, like does an action replay so you can watch it happen. And it happens like in this stilted, like he walks and then he stops and then he walks, and it looks like John Wick's like having a seizure or something. There's something wrong with him.
Goodness.
It's like the worst action sequence you've ever seen, a turn-based action sequence. And on top of all that, it's not to say it's a bad game. It's a good game for the type of game it is. It's just I don't think John Wick should be that type of game.
Yeah, sounds weird.
Anyway, what's for dinner?
Impossible Whopper.
Whopper?
Impossible Whopper.
It's impossible to get an impossible
It's
Whopper.
literally impossible. I have to drive a whole freaking hour to get you this burger. It takes me 10 to 15 minutes to get over there, and usually 10 to 15. It's took 25 minutes once to wait on them.
It was a lot quicker the last one you got.
The last one was, and then the same to get back. So 45 to 50 minutes just to get you a burger. So I hope you really enjoy it.
You also have this burger.
I do, but I can't taste anything. So to me, it's just like, I could have a Morningstar burger on a bun in my house, but I'm willing to
It's an amazing burger, the Impossible Whopper. I'm not sponsored by them.
No, I wish.
And what's your advice, and then we'll get out of it?
My advice is, a lot of bad things happen in life. A lot of bad things. We all know this. Recently, I had a young cousin shot and murdered by a family, like a friend, his friend, and their family's friends with our family, and I'm friends with his aunt who I went to school with so many years ago. It's a small town, terrible. Terrible. The people involved, like the mother of the person who died, she's struggling, but then I've noticed in her, I'm friends with her on Facebook too, and for a few days it was all pretty much pictures of him and just inspirational things and coping things, as people do. And then, because she's hilarious, she finds the funniest memes. I'm telling you, I laugh out loud at some of the shit she finds. She started posting those again. And I thought, I bet there are people who are going to be like, oh, well, when she thinks something's awful funny, her son has died. Her granddaughter died a few years ago, as my young cousin who was 9 in a car wreck. Her stepdaughter has brain damage. Her husband, my Uncle Jerry, has cancer that's gone to his brain. It's like a life of tragedy upon tragedy, and yet this woman will find humor and be funny. And I think that sometimes, yes, it's fine to feel like shit when something bad and terrible is happening, even if it's in your little bubble, your little thing, like me not being able to taste or smell anything. To me, it's a big deal. It's been a big deal all year. It's very difficult to cope with. It's like a different experience. It's sort of like sad and depressing, and yet it's like, So it's okay to feel bad about that for about 5 minutes. And then it's okay to feel good again. Like, for her to feel good again, or, in the moments when she's feeling better, to be able to do that and feel bad then the next minute and be completely traumatized by it all, and then find a way to dig out of that hole for a little bit. Both of those are fine. We don't all need to be ultra miserable all the time because some bad things are happening somewhere in the world and to us, and we don't all have to pretend everything's fine even when we think things are, we have to cover them up. It's okay to feel genuinely happy when there is misery in the world and even in your own life, because I think, I've had many friends in the last couple of years who've had cancer. Now, in the moments when they're dealing with that and they're suffering with that and they're feeling really depressed and worried and going through treatments and surgeries and whatnot. And if I sit here thinking about them and I'm watching a movie and I'm having a good time, and I'm like, oh yeah, but right now my friend is getting ready to go for a mastectomy. But in that moment, would she want me to sit there and be like, oh, it's so terrible? Or would she be like, if I could choose anything to do right now, I would be watching a movie, having a good time and feeling good again. So, I find people wanting to remain super miserable, or they don't know what's appropriate. Should I be happy again? How long does it take before I can make jokes or talk about my own petty problems compared to the problem that my friend just had? That's a tricky one. Like, when do I start complaining about oh, my ankles are swollen, because I'm fat and I'm old? Or do I just keep that to myself because it's so small in comparison? But I try to go back to what if it was 5 minutes before the terrible news or the terrible thing happened, what would you say or do, or how would you interact? And try to go back to that place if it's appropriate and just do that. Because a lot of people, when they're miserable and having a terrible time, they just want things to be normal again. And sometimes when people are feeling really good and happy about other things in life, that can help them, I think.
All right.
How's that?
What did I miss out of this podcast?
Oh. Are you going to go backwards and do it?
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's the 1-star reviews.
Yeah. Explain what they are.
1-star reviews from Amazon.
Nope.
Oh, IMDb.
Correct. People who didn't like this movie, unlike us who did like it. So let's listen to the unwashed masses.
Here's how hypocritical we are. If we disagree with a person, we think they're idiots. If we agree with them, we say, well, that's correct.
All right. This guy says, 1 out of 10, dumb.
Yeah.
Everything in this movie is dumb. I don't understand people who rate this movie more than 3 stars. Stupid daughter, stupid father, stupid everything. Feels like I watched a soap opera.
I mean, I don't know if I can argue with that. They weren't stupid, but...
This guy says, 1 out of 10, Waste of money. The 1950 creature from the Black Lagoon was more believable.
I disagree with that. I've seen that movie. That's not accurate.
Yeah. This guy says, waste of time and money. If it was a comedy movie, I would have rated it higher. It was neither scientific nor rational.
Scientific?
Is
that a requirement of all movies nowadays to be accurate?
This guy says, sorry, but this movie was so shit. Sorry, I'm reading this exactly as it's wrote.
Okay.
But this movie was so shit that I couldn't even watch it. And that says a lot. There was loads of pauses in between those letters, like spaces. One could think it was a bunch of school kids that had writ the plot and then try to shoot. The once in charge should be ashamed. This other guy says, I'll give this 1 star for Barry Pepper. He's the only good thing in this movie.
He's all right.
This one says, what can I say? I went to a secret screening of this and left after half an hour. I don't even want to see how it plays out.
That's fair. Then don't watch it. Why would you make a review like that?
Now,
what are you saying?
This one's possibly the best review because I have no idea what this means. 1 out of 10. Garbage. The Crocodile Dandy has more realistic heroics than this movie.
The what? Crocodile Dandy?
Yeah.
All right.
The Crocodile Dandy has more realistic heroics than this movie.
Oh, you're making fun of how they're spelling.
The whole thing. I don't even know what the Crocodile Dandy is.
Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, he says Dandy. D-A-N-D-Y.
I know, but you could have figured that out.
No, I didn't actually figure that out. I'm worse than him.
You are. I'm really embarrassed right now. I'm embarrassed for you.
The Crocodile Dandy. Maybe he's saying it with an accent.
And spelling it with an accent.
And finally, ridiculous. No factual to this movie. No human being would even believe this. The movie is a total waste of time. I'm Florida born and raised, and I'm still in the area. This movie should make everybody sick to their stomach. Shame on whoever forever having anything to do with this junk.
To whoever forever.
Yeah. I think he was writing a love poem.
Is that a little poetic? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that. So that's the end of the show. And you can catch us on social media. You can catch us on this podcast everywhere that podcasts are sold or not sold, but not Spotify. Are any podcasts sold?
I wouldn't imagine that they were, but...
No. You can catch this for free anywhere that podcasts are given away for free. You can also catch Sid Talk on Instagram, me on Instagram. Email feedback to me at ascully@ascully.com. Don't email Sid Talk. She doesn't want any of your shit.
I mean, that's accurate. But you can email if you want. I don't know what will come of it.
And stay classy, Mr. Crocodile Dandy.
I'm going to say think for yourselves, or someone will do it for you.